Here's the harsh truth. Some dental students absolutely crush dental school exams, while others struggle the entire way through. And the difference isn't intelligence, it's strategy. You see, the people who understand what I'm about to tell you do significantly better than those who don't. I myself personally have studied the top performers in my graduating class. I've analyzed their habits, and now I'm gonna give you the raw, unfiltered truth about what separates the best from the rest. The first thing is that the smartest students don't just study harder, they study smarter. You see, in dental school, nobody's really willing to tell you, but the right resources make all the difference. And if you're not tapping into those specific resources, you're already at a disadvantage. A lot of the kids, maybe half the class, rely solely on lecture notes and textbooks. But the top performers in every class are in study networks where the past exams, past notes, study guides, and even like the really important topics per exam are shared. And if you're not in one of those groups, then you're just walking into an exam blindly, while others already have the mental roadmap walking into that same exam. Because here's the reality, right? Dental school exams repeat questions frequently. Like, can you imagine being a dental school professor every year? Let me just spend 3 days of my own personal time to create new tricky questions to stump the students this year. Like, no, they're gonna repeat the similar questions year after year with major topics talked about. And the shitty thing is that some of the concepts that are barely talked about still show up on the exams, which is unfair to all the students. But if you don't have access to those past exams where it popped up once or twice, you're missing already and you're at a huge disadvantage. I learned this the hard way. I would get hit with these obscure questions that were barely even mentioned in class. It would be in like 8 font on the top right of slide 700 out of 1,000. But on a 25 question exam, that's a huge difference in a class that's ranked so rigorously. And then later, I only find out that half the student body had access to the past exam that I didn't, and they knew exactly what to expect. And that's when I made a major shift on how I studied. So what I learned the hard way after 4 years of dental school is how to study smarter. And what I would do is that right before every exam, right when I'm about to start studying for a new exam, I'll find every resource possible. Class notes, past exams, study guides, and even upperclassmen who just recently took the exam to be like, hey bro, hey, how was that exam? Like, anything ridiculous? What did you think about it? Was it fair? Like, that's a genuine question you can ask somebody taking the exam, because half the time they'll be like, no, hell no. Personally, I'd like to look through these resources before I even started studying. At least that way I had the roadmap of what to look out for when I'm studying. I saw a past question or on the study guide that was highlighted. I'd be like, okay, let me spend a little more time on this, even though it wasn't really talked about in lecture. And this way, I had several passes at the material highlighting parts that were showing up, so I had a really good idea of what to expect. The worst thing is that when you go to an exam and you were like, damn, they weren't even talking about that shit, or where did that question come from? Like, no. If you look at the last 2 to 3 years of exams, you're not gonna get thrown off that much. Unless you go to NYU, and they may get you. Yeah, 1 credit class where if you fail, you get left back, and everything depends on 1 grade, and everything depends on 1 test. Yeah, that sounds like a class at NYU where they'll switch the whole exam up. But trust me, this approach can make a massive difference in your rank and how to do well. And this will ensure that you're doing well in school. Number 2 is that the top students in dental school treat it like a full-time job. Because you see, dental school comes with a lot of unstructured time, and how you use it really determines your success. So the difference between the top performers and the average students really comes down to discipline. You see, some students use their free time to relax, hang out, or even go home for the weekend. And the others would stay ahead by reviewing, memorizing, refining everything there is to know about the upcoming exams. I know, because I was on both sides of this spectrum. In my first 2 years, I was like a machine with academics. That's all I cared about, was trying to specialize and get into OMFS. Or in the second 2 years, when I didn't try as hard and I wanted to do general, I was chilling hard as hell. I was spending all my free time hanging out with the bros, partying, living life in Manhattan. So I know how much free time you actually have where you can devote to school, or you can just devote to your own personal life and have fun. But here's the simple truth, is that if someone else is studying more than you, they have the upper advantage. I've noticed that the best students are dedicating on average 15 to 20 hours more per week studying than the average student. And yes, it sucks to hear this, but this translates to less sleep, less free time, but you get better grades and you have a better chance of specializing and making fat racks if that's what you desire to do. Now, I'm not telling you to sacrifice everything, your entire life, all your friendships, but if you think you can get by without putting in that extra effort and extra time, I think you're setting yourself up for a lot of stress and mediocre results. Number 3 is that I realized lots of dental students coming into school study very inefficiently. And I learned how to study efficiently in my master's program where I had no choice. Otherwise, I would have failed out and never even got into dental school. And this involves active recall and spaced repetition. You see, in undergrad, I studied the wrong way. I would read notes. I would highlight textbooks. I would convince myself like, yeah, I knew it, next page, highlight, next page, I knew that. But passive learning doesn't really work. What I saw the top students do is that they would use 2 different techniques. Active recall, which is literally studied and proven to work, is that instead of reading, you're constantly testing yourself. And the other one is spaced repetition. It's where you review material in intervals for long-term retention. Now, if you guys don't know Anki is the flashcard system, which is great for both of these concepts. And I used it a ton in dental school. But what I would do in school was that after every lecture, I would create questions for myself and I would turn my notes into like a test bank myself that I try to stump myself. And instead of constantly looking back at notes, trying to answer these questions, I would try to actively recall the answers. That way during test time, I'm able to grab that information just as fast as I needed to because I've already trained my brain to do this. And then I never really crammed during dental school. Actually, I was over-prepared all the time. Now, for some of your classmates in dental school have photographic memory and they got into dental school pretty easily, they don't really need, they can cram. They can cram. But for somebody like me who's average at best academically, I had to have a lot of time when I studied. It took me on average 3 to 4 passes to almost guarantee an A to look over all the material that many times. That's almost embarrassing to say, but some people need it, some people don't. But I always gave myself a lot of time, and this meant sacrificing a lot of free time with hanging out with friends and my family. But these 2 methods of studying are scientifically proven to boost retention and also reduce your study time in the long run. And I think if you start using it now, it'll benefit you a lot. But let me know what you think in the comments below. And then my 4th tip is for bench lab and your clinical exams, reps after reps after reps. You need that. See, dentistry isn't about just knowledge. It's hand skills, precision, muscle memory. And on exam day, it's really who's putting in the most time doing the most reps in between exams. I'm gonna be honest with you, everybody's struggling in the beginning, even though they don't look like it. But almost everyone graduates and becomes a dentist. And the difference, in my opinion, is how much work you're putting into your clinical practices. Your first preps will be terrible. When you're first holding a drill, you will feel like you're having 0 control over that thing. This is how it is for everyone. Like the students who improved the fastest I saw, and I did this myself because I just kept repping after rep after rep. The students who put in the most reps succeed. This meant that I was buying extra teeth out of lab. I was drilling on every tooth I had, even the ones that had fillings. I would redo the preps, making mistakes constantly, asking upperclassmen for feedback because that's really how we learn. Treating every tooth I'm drilling on like a practice session. You gotta work in time scenarios. I would give myself less time practicing because I know during that practical, some shit's gonna go wrong and I need more time to compensate. So all I'm saying is that the more mistakes you make in practice, the better you'll do on testing. And the students who do that absolutely crush their practical exams and rank much higher than everybody else. So don't forget, you are in control of the outcome. At the end of the day, you have 2 choices. You either put in the extra time, use the right resources, and stay ahead of the game, or you just roll the dice, hope that you're naturally smart enough to get by and get to the top of the ranking, and eventually choose to specialize or decide whatever you want at the end. But one path leads to mastering exams, reducing stress, and getting the best opportunities after dental school. And the other one, since I was also on that side too, had me in constant anxiety, exam retakes, and even falling behind. So don't forget that dental school is a game of strategy. The people who play the game the best get the best results. There's a link in the description below to join my new school community. It's where dental students, pre-dentals, and dentists alike help each other out to level up and achieve the lifestyle of our dreams. I'm Dr. Rana, and I'll see you soon.